In firearms terminology, an action is the mechanism that handles the ammunition, loads, locks, fires, extracts and ejects, or the method by which that mechanism works. Breech-loading weapons have actions. Actions are technically not present on muzzle loaders, as all are single-shot weapons with a closed-off breech. Actions can be categorized in several ways, including single action versus double action, break action versus bolt action, and others. The term action can also include short, long, and magnum if it is in reference to the length of the rifle's receiver and the length of the bolt. The short-action rifle usually can accommodate a cartridge length of 2.8 in, 71 mm, or smaller. The long-action rifle can accommodate a cartridge of 3.34 in, 85 mm, and the magnum-action rifle can accommodate cartridges of 3.6 in, 91 mm, or longer in length. Single-shot breech block actions. Dropping block. Dropping block are actions wherein the breech block lowers or drops into the receiver to open the breech, usually actuated by an under lever. There are two principal types of dropping block, the tilting block and the falling block. Tilting block. In a tilting block or pivoting block action, the breech block is hinged on a pin mounted at the rear. When the lever is operated, the block tilts down and forward, exposing the chamber. The best-known pivoting block designs are the Peabody, Martini, and Ballard actions. The original Peabody rifles, manufactured by the Providence Tool Company, used a manually cocked side hammer. Swiss gunsmith Friedrich Martini developed a pivoting block action by modifying the Peabody, that incorporated a hammerless striker which was cocked by the operating lever with the same single, efficient motion that also pivoted the block. The 1871 Martini Henry, which replaced the trapdoor Snider Enfield, was the standard British Army rifle of the later Victorian era, and the Martini was also a popular action for civilian rifles. Charles H. Ballard's self-cocking tilting block action was produced by the Marlin Firearms Company from 1875, and earned a superlative reputation among long-range Creedmoor target shooters. Surviving Marlin Ballards are today highly prized by collectors, especially those mounted in the elaborate Swiss-style Schutzen stocks of the day. Falling block. A falling block action, also known as a sliding block action, is a single-shot firearm action in which a solid metal breech block slides vertically in grooves cut into the breech of the weapon and actuated by a lever. Examples of firearms using the falling block action are the Sharps rifle and Ruger No. 1. Rolling block. In a rolling block action, the breech block takes the form of a part cylinder, with a pivot pin through its axis. The operator rotates or rolls the block to open and close the breech. It is a simple, rugged, and reliable design. Rolling blocks are most often associated with firearms made by Remington in the later 19th century. In the Remington action, the hammer serves to lock the breech closed at the moment of firing, and the block in turn prevents the hammer from falling with the breech open. Break action. A break action is a type of firearm where the barrels are hinged and can be broken open to expose the breech. Multi-barrel break action firearms are usually subdivided into over and under or side-by-side configurations for two-barrel configurations or combination gun when mixed rifle and shotgun barrels are used. Hinged block. Hinged block was the earliest metallic cartridge breech loaders designed for general military issue, began as conversions of muzzle-loading rifle muskets. The upper rear portion of the barrel was filed or milled away and replaced by a hinged breech block which opened upward to permit loading. An internal angled firing pin allowed the reuse of the rifle's existing side hammer. The Allen action made by Springfield Arsenal in the U.S. hinged forward, the Snider Enfield used by the British opened to the side. Whereas the British quickly replaced the Snider with a dropping block Peabody-style Martini action, the U.S. Army felt the trapdoor action to be adequate and followed its muzzleloader conversions with the new production Springfield Model 1873, which was the principal longarm of the Indian Wars and was still in service with some units in the Spanish-American War. Bolt action. Main article, bolt action. Although bolt actions are usually associated with fixed or detachable box magazines, in fact the first general issue military breech loader was a single-shot bolt action, the paper cartridge Prussian needle gun of 1841. France countered in 1866 with its superior chassepot rifle, also a paper cartridge bolt action. The first metallic cartridge bolt actions in general military service were the Burden Type II introduced by Russia in 1870, the Mauser Model 1871, and a modified chassepot, the Grass Rifle of 1874, all these were single shots. Today most top-level small-bore match rifles are single-shot bolt actions. Single-shot bolt actions in .22 caliber were also widely manufactured as inexpensive boys' guns in the earlier 20th century, and there have been a few single-shot bolt action shotguns, usually in .410 bore. Rotating drum action. Rotating drum action first seen on the M1897 Wernthal Holub and later on the Magnum Research Lone Eagle pistol. The breech closure is a rotating drum with the same axis, but offset from the bore. When locked, a firing pin aligns with the primer and the breech is otherwise solid. When rotated open, a slot in the drum is exposed for extraction and feeding of a new round. Though first used on the Wernthal Holub, this action is commonly known as a cannon breech due to its association with the French 75mm model of 1897 cannon. The French M1897 was, itself, based on William Hubbell's U.S. patent 149478. Other actions. The Ferguson rifle. British Major Patrick Ferguson designed his rifle, considered to be the first military breech loader, in the 1770s. A plug-shaped breech block was screw-threaded so that rotating the handle underneath would lower and raise it for loading with ball and loose powder. The flintlock action still required conventional priming. The Hall rifle, first U.S. cavalry breech loader, originally made in flint but later made in and converted to percussion in 1830s-1840s. The breech section tilts up to accept a paper cartridge. Excellent machine-made construction, but still tended to leak gas at the breech. The Kammerlader, a crank-operated Norwegian firearm produced around the time of the Prussian needle gun. Originally used a paper cartridge. Later many were converted to rimfire. This was the first Norwegian breech loader. The Tarpley Carbine, this is categorized into falling block action, but the breech block is hinged unlike the others. The Morse Carbine, the mostly brass action is somewhat like Hall rifle, except it was designed to take a special centerfire cartridge. Very few of these were actually made and were constructed in the late 1850s. The Jocelyn rifle. Rising breech carbine. Repeating actions. Manual operation. Revolver. A revolver houses cartridges in a rotary cylinder and rotates them in line with the cylinder bore, actually a forcing cone, prior to each shot. Revolvers are most often handguns, however examples of rifles and shotguns and cannon have been made. The cylinder is most often rotated by manipulation of the trigger and slash or hammer, although some are double action using the manual pull of the trigger to rotate the cylinder and cock the hammer. Bolt action. In bolt action firearms, the opening and closing of the breech is operated manually by a bolt. Opening the breech ejects a cartridge while subsequently closing the breech chambers a new round. The three predominant bolt action systems are the Mauser, Lee Enfield, and Mosin-Nagant systems. In the Mauser style turn bolt action, the bolt handle must be rotated counterclockwise, drawn rearward, pushed forward, and finally rotated clockwise back into lock. In a straight pull action, the bolt lever can be cycled without rotating it, hence producing a reduced range of motion by the shooter from 4 movements to 2, with the goal of increasing the rifle's rate of fire. The Ross and Schmidt-Rubin rifles load via stripper clips, albeit of an unusual paperboard and steel design in the Schmidt-Rubin rifle, while the Mannlicher uses N-block clips. The Schmidt-Rubin series, which culminated in the K31, are also known for being among the most accurate military rifles ever made. Yet another variant of the straight pull bolt action, of which the M1895 Lee Navy is an example, is a camming action in which pulling the bolt handle causes the bolt to rock, freeing a stud from the receiver and unlocking the bolt. Pump action. In pump action or slide action firearms, a grip called the fore-end is manually operated by the user to eject and chamber a new round. Pump actions are predominantly found in shotguns. An example of firearms using the pump action are the Remington 870 and Winchester Model 1897. Lever action. Lever action firearms use a lever to eject and chamber cartridges. An example of firearms using lever action are the Winchester repeating rifle and Marlin Model 1894. Lever release. Lever release is a hybrid repeating action that uses the physical manipulation of a lever to chamber cartridges, similar to lever action firearms. However, unlike lever action, lever release firearms eject the cartridge independently of the lever, usually via blowback or gas operation. Whilst the basic principle can be traced back to other self-ejecting rifles, such as the single-shot Harrington and Richardson Model 755 rifle, the action has since been popularized in the UK by Southern Gun Company, who manufacture such rifles in a range of calibers, as the interrupted mechanism complies with the Firearms Amendment Act 1988, which bans possession of self-loading century-fire rifles. Other actions: rotary cannon, Gatling gun, M134 minigun, chain gun, Hughes chain gun, Gicot chain rifle, Tree-by chain gun, Calth repeater, Cookson repeater, Belton flintlock, the Jennings magazine rifle, Meigs sliding guard action repeater, Roper repeater. The Orville Robinson Model 2 rifle. Orville Robinson, a New York-based firearms designer, developed two rifles. His first, patented in 1870 and commonly referred to by collectors as the Model 1 though it has no official designation, was a precursor to straight pull bolt actions like the Mannlicher M1886. The second rifle, designed by Robinson, patented in 1872, was very different, employing a double-hinged action that folded upward from the receiver to remove the spent casing and back down and forward to chamber a new round. Though hammer-fired, it is recognizable as a manually actuated ancestor of the toggle action found in firearms such as the Luger Parabellum 1908 pistol or Peterson rifle. Krag-Peterson rifle, though frequently classified as only single-shot firearms, one tilting block rifle usually falls under the category of repeating firearms. They, upon ejecting a round from the chamber, would load a round from the underbarrel magazine onto the loading surface of the tilting block, then raise it to the mouth of the chamber where the user could then easily push it forward into the chamber. Though this would not meet most standards of repeating for most modern users, the classification has been in use historically. Remington Ryder magazine pistol has a manually actuated rolling block action to pull a cartridge from a tubular magazine set below the barrel and simultaneously cock the weapon. The block was rolled back into battery, loading the cartridge into the chamber by spring pressure while the hammer remained in the cocked position. Automatic operation. Blowback operation. Created by combustion in the chamber and bore acting directly on the bolt face through the cartridge. In blowback operation, the bolt is not locked to the chamber, relying only on spring pressure and inertia from the weight of the bolt to keep the action from opening too quickly. Blowback operation is used for low-powered cartridges due to the weight of the bolt required. Delayed blowback actions use some mechanism to slow down rearward travel of the bolt, allowing this action to handle more powerful ammunition and slash or reduced weight of the bolt. Examples of blowback operation. Simple blowback, Halcon M1943, Uzi submachine gun, Varon PMX-80. Lever delayed blowback, FAMAS, Sterling 7.62, AA52, 2BA40, TKB 517. Roller delayed blowback, SIG 510, HKMP5, HKP9, HKG3. Gas delayed blowback, Volkssturmgewehr 1-5, HKP7, Steyr GB. Toggle delayed blowback, Schwarzlos MGM.07/12, Luger rifle and Peterson rifle. Blish lock, early Thompson submachine guns. Hesitation locked, Remington Model 51 and R51 pistols. Chamber ring delayed blowback, Seacombe pistol. Blow forward operation. Blow-forward operation uses a fixed breech and moving barrel that is forced forward relative to the breech by the friction of the projectile against the bore as well as the breech recoiling away from the barrel. The barrel is spring-loaded and returns automatically to chamber a fresh round from the magazine. Examples of this action are the Stair-Mannlicher M1894, Hino Komuro M1908 pistol and the Schwarzlos Model 1908. Recoil operation. Recoil operation is a type of locked breech firearm action used in semi-automatic and fully automatic firearms. It also uses energy from the combustion in the chamber acting directly on the bolt through the cartridge head, but in this case the firearm has a reciprocating barrel and breech assembly, combined with a bolt that locks to the breech. The breech remains locked as the bolt and barrel travel rearward together for some distance, allowing pressure in the chamber to drop to a safe level before the breech is opened. Examples of recoil operation. Short recoil, Colt M1911, MAB PA-15, Browning High Power, HK-USP, Glock, Mamba Pistol, M2 Browning Machine Gun, MG42, VZ52 Pistol, M82. Long recoil, Browning Auto 5, Femurus Stop Pistol, Mars Automatic Pistol, Chow Chat. Inertia, some Benelli shotguns. Gas operation. Gas operation is a system of operation used to provide energy to semi-automatic and fully automatic firearms. In gas operation, a portion of high-pressure gas from the cartridge being fired is tapped through a hole in the barrel and diverted to operate the action. There are three basic types: long-stroke gas piston, where the gas piston goes the same distance as the operating stroke of the action parts, and is often attached to the action parts; short-stroke gas piston, where the gas piston travels a shorter distance than the operating stroke of the action parts; and direct impingement, aka direct gas impingement, where there is no piston, and the gas acts directly on the action parts. A fourth type, now considered obsolete and ineffective, are those systems based on the bang rifle that utilize a muzzle cap to capture gas after the bullet has left the barrel. While this system is successful in boosting the operating power of recoil-operated guns, it is insufficient and too susceptible to fouling for use as the primary operating system. Examples of gas operation. Short-stroke gas piston, FN FAL, SAR 87, HKG 36. Long-stroke gas piston, M1 Garand, AK 47, FN FNC. Direct impingement, MOS 49, M16, AG 42. Gas trap, Cure 41, Bang M1922 rifle.
Please subscribe and thanks for watching.